Good morning, everybody. JDev has returned once again to give you exactly what you want. Of course, that'd be more of me, that amazing backdrop that's behind me, giving you my thoughts, my opinions, and what I hope will be some expert analysis on a certain topic subject. Well, UFC 239 is in the books. It was a great card, and I'm here to give my thoughts on what exactly happened. But before I do that, just got to mention something that I made a mistake on. So when I was talking about my predictions for UFC 239, which I only got 2 of the 5 fights right, I had mentioned that Jorge Masvidal recently beat the Korean Zombie with an amazing elbow with like 2 seconds left in the fight, which I'm wrong on, obviously. Most of you that watched the video know that I was completely wrong, as that was Yair Rodriguez that did that. And for some reason, I was mistaking the two. That's my bad. I shouldn't make mistakes like that, and I don't know what I was thinking. Actually, the funny thing is, I've only watched that fight the last round. That's all I've seen of that particular fight. I really do need to watch that whole fight because I hear it's a really good one. So, my bad. I like to give expert analysis, but every once in a while I do make a mistake. It happens, but I shouldn't make a mistake like that. That's stupid. I'm actually really upset about that. But nonetheless, UFC 239, what an awesome show. The event kicked off the main card with Michael Chiesa versus Diego Sanchez. I had predicted Diego Sanchez to win. I was wrong. Michael Chiesa pretty much dominated the whole fight with takedowns and grappling and submission attempts and submissions. A great fight by Chiesa. It would have been nice if he would have got the finish, but Diego Sanchez was gave his heart, at least, not getting submitted or knocked out, so that was good. But I just was really impressed with Diego Sanchez against Mickey Gall that I predicted him to win this fight, and if I would have thought about it longer and gave more proper expert analysis, I would have realized that Diego Sanchez will probably get beat. But, oh well, it happens. I'm not right all the time. Next we had Luke Rockhold making his debut in the light heavyweight division, 205 from 185, versus Jan Blachowicz. And this was an entertaining fight. I thought both fighters looked really good. Rockhold looked really good as a light heavyweight, even though I absolutely hate the guy. I think he's a dick and an asshole. But he got knocked the fuck out, and I loved it. Apparently he even suffered a broken jaw. Now, I had predicted Luke Rockhold to actually win the fight because I thought he was going to make a run in the light heavyweight division. I guess I was wrong on that one as well, but Jan Blachowicz won the fight, and in great fashion. And, he's certainly setting himself up for a potential title fight. I don't think he'll get one right away. I think he needs to fight and beat one of the top guys in the division, either Anthony Smith or Thiago Santos. But Thiago Santos and Jan Blachowicz already had a fight, and that's how Santos got the title fight against John Jones. But he shouldn't get a title fight just yet, or be booked for a title fight. He needs to be Anthony Smith. I think that would be the fight to make next. Next up in the UFC welterweight division, we had Ben Askren versus Jorge Masvidal, and this was fucking amazing. So the fight doesn't last very long. 5 seconds. Masvidal starts out the fight with kind of slowly walking towards Askren. All of a sudden, a burst of speed and a running, flying knee right to the side of his, like behind his ear, and knocks Ben Askren the fuck out. And he was out. And he even got a couple licks in afterwards before Herzog could actually stop the fight and save Askren. But wow. Now, I'm predicting Askren to win the fight. I don't know. The smart money was that he was going to win the fight. Obviously, if I would have picked with who I want to win, Masvidal, I would have been right on that one. But I thought Askren would get him down and manhunt him to death, or submit him, or do some weird move on him or whatnot. But wow, what a knock! That was one of the most amazing knockouts I've ever seen. I mean, this goes back to when Uriah Hall knocked out that guy in The Ultimate Fighter. Not on the biggest scale, though, or the grandest stage like the pay-per-view, or, well, it wasn't a pay-per-view event because they don't do pay-per-view anymore, but on the UFC actual event that you have to pay a lot of money for. So, great outcome of the fight. I mean, I'm glad. Apparently, Askren is okay. He didn't look okay. It took him a while to even get up, sit up. And then when he stood up, he was, like, out of it. He was freaking out of it. But they did tests on him. They took him to the hospital after the fight, and apparently the test came back negative, and he's okay. I don't know if Ben Askren's going to fight again. I would like to have them run the Robbie Lawler-Ben Askren fight again. I hate Askren. Ever since when he said, "Is that the best you got?" When Robbie Lawler beat the ever-living daylights out of him, and it was just lucky that Askren got a choke locked in, and then Herb Dean stopped the fight too early. Robbie Lawler was fine. Yes, his arm went like that and dropped, but it didn't. Let's not talk about the past from a couple of events ago. It's over and done with, but props to Ben Askren. He's been pretty entertaining with his talk since he's arrived in UFC, but he got what he deserved, and I'm glad he's okay, because I don't wish any injury to somebody that prevents them from fighting or whatnot. And of course, we have the title fight in the bantamweight division for the Amanda Nunes title. Holly Holm took on Amanda Nunes. And, another highlight reel knockout. Amanda Nunes head kicks Holly Holm down in the first round with I don't know, was it like a minute to go or something like that? Awesome. Holly Holm surprised me. I thought she'd do more circling and movement. And she was just doing more standing and movement. And I don't know. I mean, she looked good, though. But, I mean, against Amanda Nunes, you've got to keep moving. You can't just stand in one place, because otherwise Nunes can time one of her punches, or in this case, kick. I didn't know Amanda Nunes had a kicking game, but apparently that's something she's been working on, and she finally used it in this particular fight. But, I don't know what's next for Amanda Nunes. I mean, I guess a rematch with Cyborg, possibly, if Cyborg can win her next fight. But, I mean, there's really nobody in that division. I mean, unless she fights Shevchenko again, which she's already beat her twice, or she fights Jessica Andrade at some point in time, if Andrade makes it past Weili Zhang, which is in a few months. So, I don't know, but Nunes looked good. Holly Holm actually looked good, other than her technique was not good. She should have been moving and not standing and just doing that. She should have been circling around. Don't stand in one place, especially against the champion that's been dominant. Take note. Anybody that's a potential fighter someday, if you're fighting a champion, well, if you're really fighting anybody, never stand in one place unless you've got the person rocked. Always circle, and don't lean back against the cage. Don't move back. Always circle. That's what I that's my advice. And of course, we have the title fight, the main event of the evening, for the light heavyweight championship, Thiago Santos versus John Bones Jones. It was actually a pretty even fight, which is surprising for a John Jones fight. I don't know what was up with Jones. He wasn't throwing combinations. It was like one strike. And then watch what Santos does. And, I mean, he won the fight. Some people will argue that Santos won the fight, and I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of even on that. Jones was the one pressing the action most of the time. But, I don't know. But I wish Jones would have done a little bit more. There's obviously holes in Jones's game that he needs to work on. But, I mean, I guess it's surprising when he's not super dominant like he usually is. I mean, he was super dominant against Gustafsson and super dominant against Anthony Smith. And I thought that, and I knew Santos would bring it. What you need to do against John Jones, so when you have a fury of haymakers that if Jones starts running away, you got to keep chasing after him. Take him down, connect with him. Do what you got to do, because otherwise Jones is most likely going to win on points. And I thought Santos did a great job of leg kicks, and Jones obviously was feeling those. And I'm really surprised Jones didn't go for a takedown. I think that would have been the best choice, but he said he didn't want to do a takedown because that would mean that Santos was winning the kickboxing game. But nonetheless, a good performance by Santos. He looked good. He definitely belongs at the top of the division. I wouldn't mind seeing him fight. I don't even know who he'd fight next, to be honest with you. I'm not sure. Maybe another fight with Anthony Smith, possibly? Or maybe he'll get Johnny Walker after Johnny Walker has his next fight. and then maybe Johnny Walker could get a title fight. So Walker has to fight somebody like Teixeira or Volkan Oezdemir, then fight Santos. And if he does that, wins both those fights, then he might get John Jones. That would be the only scenario where I see Johnny Walker getting the title shot, because he's got to keep winning. But all in all, I predicted Jones to win. I'm happy that Jones won, but I wasn't really confident when that decision was read that Jones won the fight, because in the fifth round, Jones wasn't doing shit. He was like, I think like what he said, he thought he had it in the bag, and the fight was a lot more closer than what John Jones thought. So all in all, though, with the 3 highlight real knockouts, and then there was a knockout on the preliminaries too that I saw. I don't remember the guy's name, but that was really nice. That was right away, like in the first round, or like a minute or something like in the fight. But 2 out of 5 fights I got right. Oh, that's kind of bad. I'm only getting these title fights right in some of these cards, which is, I'm not predicting the undercard very well, and I need to get better at that. So my expert analysis isn't so expert, especially when I make a mistake and think of the wrong fighter, like I did with Yair Rodriguez in Jorge Masvidal. So anyway, I hope everybody enjoyed UFC 239. If you have any comments, please leave them. If you want to argue and say that Thiago Santos won, which I'm not against, agreeing with that. I'm kind of more towards Jones because he was pressing the action most of the time, but the argument definitely can be made that Santos did the majority of the big strikes in the fight. Jones was just doing one strike and then standing back, and I don't know what was wrong with him. I don't know. But anyway, definitely leave a comment. I always talk about if you have a fight that you want to see. I really want to see Tony Ferguson versus Justin Gaethje. Hopefully they make that fight. Apparently they were going to make it for UFC 238, but they only gave Gaethje a 4-week notice, and Gaethje's like, no. And that's why they gave Cowboy that fight. It was supposed to be Ferguson and Gaethje if Gaethje would have accepted the fight at UFC 238. So definitely leave a comment with your thoughts on the event or future fights that you want to see. And, of course, I'll be back again with another. Peace.